Hello, and welcome to Unrestricted Lorefare's Beacon Space. I'm your host, Xavier, as you may know me from Discord, or also Lich98. Either one of those may be how you know me. But either way, welcome on in to the stream today, and the Beacon Space faction turn 14. It's hard to believe we've done 14 of them after this stream, but that will be the case. So, with that out of the way, I think we can go ahead and get started. Let me give you a small introduction to the world of Beacon Space if you're new here. Beacon Space is a sci-fi setting set in the far future in which we're in a sector of space that we can take a look at here using our map tool that is some way a ways from the Sol system. Instead, the center of our beacon space sector is in fact aptly named the Center System, and it was somewhere in this region of space where a flash of bright light and energy has attracted numerous species that were already previously inhabiting these planets or have traveled to this sector from far light years away, and they have set up and claimed places over the vast swath of history. In today's era, we have 9 factions: the Children of the Vein, Ascent, the Larkspur Combine, the Assembled Commonwealth, the Aguamala Syndicate, the Concord of Mutual Disdain, the Emelhart Institute, the Tahora Fai, and the Starlet Court, all of which claim massive places on our plot on this faction turn level. If you're new to the faction turn, it's an adaptation of the Stars Without Numbers GM system where you're able to play a game as the GM to sort of create an alive and background world to set a series of RPG campaigns in. The idea is granting, that sort of the world feels alive to your players rather than just the world being reactive to the players. But instead, we've taken that concept and turned it into a multiplayer game in which you can join in on the Discord if you're interested in joining one of these factions, where you can actually have some say over the faction turn orders that we're about to process today. And so that is a great way to get involved. If you're interested in more, you can ask in Twitch !Discord. We'll give you a link to join the Discord. Or if you're watching the VOD on YouTube afterwards, feel free to check down in the doobly-doos below, and you'll be able to find a link to Discord there. I think that's everything out of the way introduction-wise. So let's go ahead and get started with today's faction turn. If at any point in the faction turn, if a faction rep or just member of a faction thinks I've made a mistake, or you're watching and I screw up easy math, please let me know so that I can fix it. I prefer to fix it on stream if at all possible. Otherwise, of course, please have your faction reps reach out to me on Discord afterwards if we if we don't catch the mistake live. So to get started here, we're going to start off with the resolution of the previous Tellus Terra Group Initiative vote. That is the collaborative game system that is currently interactive for the factions right now. The previous chair proposed the Clean Up the Strovacaro Debris plan, which was the comet that had impacted Tellus several turns ago. And the automatic terraforming progress of Tellus was impacted by this, by the comet, and so there's a chance here to repair it as we get started here. So the mechanics for this roll, or for this vote, were slightly different, as they actually involved a die roll to restore the Tellus clock's auto progression mechanically, where it was a difficulty 12 roll with the same standard D10 that the faction turn system uses, plus a faction credit value, where the faction credit value is the total amount of credits contributed by all the factions. So factions could either choose to contribute 1 or more faction credits to this roll. There was no cap, and if they were in the top half of contributing factions, they would gain 1 experience point, or they could just choose to contribute no faction credits and not have a chance to earn XP. So there were 6 factions that contributed to this total, so therefore there will be 3 experience points awarded. For a total contribution here of let me add it up real quick, of 23 faction credits. So there's no real need to make a roll. But let me go through and say who contributed what and what amount, because that's important to the experience rewards we're going to give here. I am still going to make the roll, but I'll do so after I award the XP, since the success is guaranteed, and that way I can just make sure I appropriately collect the money as I should be. So we're going to start here. The Tahora Fai contributed the most towards this project, contributing a total of 7 faction credits. So let me take that from them right here. So they have a current balance of 24. That's going to take them down to a balance of 17. And they will gain an experience point. So that will take them up to 7 XP. Then the Children of the Vein were second in the list, contributing 5 faction credits. So that's going to take them down to a balance of 31, and they will gain 1 XP, taking them up to 10. And the third and final contributor to earn experience was the Larkspur Combine, who contributed 4 faction credits, giving them a remaining balance of 21 and gaining 1 XP. The other 3 contributors that unfortunately do not receive any experience but still helped this goal get completed was the Aguamala Syndicate, contributing 3 faction credits, taking them down to a balance of 29. The faction of Ascent also contributing 3 faction credits, taking them down to a balance of 34. And the Concord of Mutual Disdain contributing 1 faction credit, taking them down to a balance of 16. The Tellus Terra Group Initiative appreciates all factions' contributions to the revitalization of the planet of Tellus and the factions' continued efforts to support the goal there. As I said, for this, I am going to go ahead and make the die roll, even though success is guaranteed, because I would like to see what the result is, because that's fun, and die rolls are pretty interesting. So there's the total bits of contribution there. And we're going to go ahead and make that roll with a result of a 31, a very resounding success for the members of the faction turn here. You have more than achieved the goal that was set out by me to reactivate the Tellus Terraforming's auto progress clock. I don't have a great place to actually track this on the tracker, so what I'm going to do is sort of hijack the fact that Children of the Vein are the planetary governor and make a note on the turn 13 trades for their planet here. So tell us auto clock restored, D10 plus. For transparency, I'm going to go ahead and I will after the stream, so that it's appropriately accounted for in this document. I have not placed the contributions to the Tellus auto clock into factions actions. Instead, I will do the same thing here, where I place it into the trades column afterwards, just so that everything money transfer wise or whatnot is recorded on the sheet, so that if there's ever a mistake, we have a good place to go back and look at to calculate out. I already previously had a faction come to me and want to double check their balance. They thought they had been accidentally double charged for an asset. And we were able to confirm that that hadn't been the case. We did find another mistake, which is why there was a accounting error, but that was the result there. So this was a 31 against DC 12, so that is a success. Perfect. Let me go mark that on the planet of Tellus. I believe it is marked here. Nope, okay. It was just on my own personal notes that this auto clock was not going. There's not a note on the sheet. So with that, I can thank again all of the faction's contributions towards that goal, and thank everyone who helped the Tellus Terra Group Initiative continue their amazing work. With that, we're going to move right along into the faction turn, where I have gone ahead and added in all of the turn orders in order here, so we're going to jump straight into it, starting off with the assembled Commonwealth, who are not going to be taking a goal this turn, but they will receive their income of 6 faction credits and then take the use asset ability. action. So let's go ahead and go give them their 6 faction credits, bringing them up to a balance of 25. And then they are going to be using asset ability, as stated previously. So they're going to activate all of their commodities brokers to achieve a total discount of 48. I will roll that, but I'm going to roll it in just a moment so that I can do it with their purchase. They are going to use asset ability on the Harvester located on Moss, and the Harvester asset, if we go check the asset details tab here, if I can find the Harvesters quickly, needs to roll a 1d6 on a 3+, a faction credit is gained. I'm going to make that roll first, so that when we go to process the purchase from the pre-tech infantry, by activating the pre-tech logistics, I can go ahead and just roll the discount roll into that all at once for a simplicity's sake. So, with that, let's go check this Harvester's success by rolling a d6, and that is a 3, so that is a success, gaining them 1 additional faction credit. Let's make a result of note of that. d6 greater than or equal to 3. Result 3 plus 1 FC. Perfect. Let me fix that. And then let me go give them this. Oh, also, is the text large enough to read? I know we've had that issue before where it's sometimes not. So hopefully it is this time. I'm a little zoomed in on the Chrome window, so I hope it is easier to read. So the next thing we're going to do is go buy a pre-tech infantry unit on Idarast. There's a pre-tech logistics asset on that planet, which is probably best seen over here, right here. And as described here on a text that is definitely probably too small to see, as an action on a use asset turn, the pre-tech logistic asset allows the owner to buy 1 force asset on the world that requires up to tech level 5 to purchase. The asset costs 1.5 times its original cost to do so, and you can only buy 1 asset per turn. So back over to the spreadsheet, and we take a look at the asset tables here. We see that the assembled Commonwealth is going to purchase the pre-tech infantry asset. That is a force 6 asset here, with an original cost of 20 faction credits. So if we come take a look, we can see that the assembled Commonwealth is Force 6, so that is perfectly fine for them to make this purchase. And even though the oops, wrong table. Even though the pre-tech infantry would normally require tech level 5, and the planet of Idarast is not tech level 5, the pre-tech logistics asset allows this purchase. Man, that was a mouthful to get through with saying pre-tech. Let's go make this roll, where we're going to also be able to apply the discount from the 4d8 commodities brokers. So I'm going to take advantage of an inline roll here to say 30, the total cost of the asset after it's been multiplied by 1.5, and then subtract 4d8. There is a minimum floor that this roll won't respect of 10 faction credits, but that was not achieved. Instead, the total discount earned on 4d8 was 13 by rolling an 8, 2 1s, and a 3. So the cost of this asset will cost 17 faction credits. So I'm going to make a note that the total discount earned was 13 faction credits. Discount 13. And this was minus 17 faction credits as a result. So we can take a look here at the faction tracker and subtract off 17 faction credits. That will leave them with a balance of 9, if I'm doing that. Yes, that math is correct. 9 faction credits. And then let's go give them their assets so that they don't get upset with me for forgetting that. Yes, that's fine sheet. Assembled Commonwealth is right here. Add a row. Assembled Commonwealth. They have purchased a pre-tech infantry unit, which, if I just drag this down, will autofill very nicely for me. And they purchased this on their homeworld of Idarast, which is the same location to where they are going to be establishing this, because that's where the pre-tech logistics asset is located. So, with that nicely out of the way, let's make their final roll, which should actually have been marked as a activation of the revised charts, but it was not. So let me do that. Revise charts, where they're going to try to increase the tech level on Menkiraniti in the 1011 system, which is a DC 11 roll from revised charts action. They get a +4 towards this roll from their Constellation, and it is a D10 roll. The Constellation rules have been added into the overall collaborative game rules document. I finally was reminded that they had not made their way in here. So if we scroll up here, we can see that constellations have been added here, and there's a section further down for revised charts. It's the same information that was previously in the individual documents, but it's now just in the centralized document point for everyone to reference without needing to check through multiple documents, which makes life easier to check the rule revisions we've applied. So if we come back over to our Roll20 window, we're going to be rolling a d10 +4 against this difficulty 11 roll. That is only a result of a 10, very unfortunate, so that is not going to be something that is achieved this turn. So roll 1d10 +4 equals 10, failure. But the assembled Commonwealth is welcome to try again next turn to continue revising the charts. With that, we're going to move right on along to the second faction in our turn today, the Larkspur Combine, who are taking the goal of inside enemy territory, as they often do, and then they will receive a faction credit income. So if we go give them their faction credits, they're then going to take the action of buy asset to buy a post-tech industry, and then they're going to move some strike fleets around, and there's actually a typo there, to complete the inside enemy territory goal. So let's go give them their money and then purchase them their asset. So Larkspur Combine's balance will go up to 26. They're then going to buy a post-tech industry asset on the planet of Moss. So let's go find that right here and add that in for them. They have the faction tag of secretive, so we can actually check this box for them, because they will get this asset in a stealth form. I don't need to type that value in. We can drag these down, and I think I'm going to need to recheck that box to get that to apply correctly. Yes, and it should be located on Moss. All right, so that adds that asset in, and it costs them 8 faction credits, so let's go charge them that. And so if we go take a look, their 26 balance goes down to 18, and as stated, they have the secretive tag. So that brings the asset in with stealth. Next, they're going to be spending 3 faction credits, so I'm going to go ahead and charge that from them now, taking them down to 15 to move some strike fleets around. So they're moving 2 strike fleets from the planet of Idarest here to come visit the Menkiraniti, another planet within the assembled Commonwealth's domain. And then there is a Larkspur Combine strike fleet on Tellus here that is making a journey down into Idarest to return their secretive presence back to that world. So we're going to go make those movements on the sheet here. All pretty easy stuff. I'm actually, for simplicity, given that none of these strike fleets have taken any damage, they're all at 8 faction credits. I'm actually just going to move this one from Tellus to Menkiraniti, and one of these to Menkiraniti, just to make it even easier, because one of them stays behind on Idarast. And that's a perfectly fine thing to do in this situation. So with that, we're going to move right along to the next faction after we award the Larkspur Combine here their 2 experience, bringing them up to 11. All right. Let's see. Concord of Mutual Disdain is next, as I try to get some music in here. There we go. Concord of Mutual Disdain is up next in the 3rd spot this turn. Somebody tell me if the music is too loud in the chat, if that is the case, but I don't think it is. The Concord of Mutual Disdain is going to take the Expand Influence action after they gain 5 faction credits. And then they're going to move a strike fleet over to planet AZ to then expand influence there. So, the Concord of Mutual Disdain goes up to 21 credits. It costs them 1 credit to move the strike fleet, that goes down to 20, and then a second one to expand influence. They are moving from planet AY to planet AZ. So let's go take a look here. They're going to be up a little bit. And let's go move that strike fleet first. This one on here moves from planet AY to planet AZ, which is now in the 1817 system. So that is, oops, right down over here. Yep, I think 1817. Oh man, way down here. This is the strike fleet. And it's gonna just jump right across into the same hex over to planet AZ there to make a claim on it. Let's go ahead and, since they're the only ones there, there's no opposition to this expand influence, so they can just complete it without any concerns. Yep, and this is going to be 1 and 1 because the HP on the BOIs are special. This is a base of influence from the Concord of Mutual Disdain. Perfect. That finishes that. Oh, is the music a little loud now? Okay, let's pull that back. Is that better? Seems better on the monitors now, so hopefully that's better overall. Cool. Moving right along then, we'll give Concord of Mutual Disdain 1 experience, bring them up to not 98, just 9 experience, and then that'll finish off their turn, which we thank them very much for. And we'll move right along to Ascent, who is 4th this faction turn. They've got quite a fun set of things this turn. The first thing they're going to do is spend their 12 experience points to take their Cunning score from a 5 to a 6, which they are able to do at the start of their turn. The cost for that is listed here. It is 12 experience points. That does change their faction HP as well, so they're now up to 22. And with that, though, however, their income does not change. The math stays the same, so they still receive 6 faction credits, bringing them up to 40. And we're going to move on to their exploration action. So they're going to be moving some smugglers around that are in the 1016 sector, which is down here. These smuggler assets are moving themselves into the point of interest at 1216, right over here, which cost a total of 2 faction credits, 1 for the smugglers and 1 for moving into a point of interest. So that takes them down to a balance of 38. And Ascent is at the top of this list almost, and that asset previously had trade sickness, but that's no longer the case as it's now a new turn, and this now moves to the 1216 system. The second movement that's going to take place, it happens at a different part of the sector altogether, with the seditionist and smuggler assets here in the 1203 system, as they're going to be moving to the point of interest at 1101. And cool. Yep, okay. There's a typo in their orders that just confused me for a second, but that is fine. 1 second here. Okay, so those are the smugglers and the seditionists, which are going to be moving to the 1101 system. Also costing another 2 faction credits, so that takes them down to 36. And this should say 1101. So the exploration action at 1216 happens first, where we're going to make an exploration with the smugglers asset there. So if we take a look at the planet map here, down at 1216, then we see that the smugglers asset that has moved over here is going to make an exploration. It's only a distance of 1 away, so that makes the difficulty 10 on this roll. It's a cunning roll, which the Ascent have just upgraded with a 6, so that takes them up to a +6 on this roll. So let's go ahead and roll this against difficulty 10. If I just do that, it'll tell me success or not. Thought it was, but apparently that's not going to. But a 16 will do success right away. So if we come back over here, let's go ahead and record that. So this was a D10 plus 6 versus DC 10. Result is a 16 success. And that is a success there. So now we're going to roll a d6 to determine how many planets are created, and a 2 is just 1 planet. So we'll go ahead and roll that one up right here. That'll mean it is a remnant biosphere. Cool. Let's shift this over while I type it into the spreadsheet real quick, because that's going to take me be easier this way. So this was the 1216 system down there, which has now become planet BA. With the mechanics tag of logistics facility assets built on this world, cost 1 less. It has billions of population, that is TL2, along with an invasive atmosphere that is cold and has a remnant biosphere. The faction tags of Cyclical Doom and Night World are also common on this planet. The Ruins roll, however, was only a 2, so we have not found another new ruin into the system yet. So that will almost wrap up their turn, because I was asked not to continue exploring once they had hit a success, which for obvious reasons makes quite a lot of sense, and is a thing that I have allowed to happen in the past. So that takes care of that. But that will move right along to the next faction's turn, which is the Children of the Vein, after we award Ascent 2 experience for their exploration goal. So we'll move on next to Children of the Vein, who are 5th, but I'm going to take a quick drink before we continue. Okay. So Children of the Vein are 5th. They are continuing their expand influence. They are taking the expand influence goal and action, and they'll be receiving an income of 7 faction credits, and then we'll go through the actions of their turn. So, actually I want to make this a little bigger. Perfect. Okay, so expand influence, and then let's give them 7 faction credits. So that brings them up to a balance of 38. And then they are going to be expanding influence in the 0904 system onto planet AQ, where they currently have a strike fleet located. So they can do that without opposition. So they're going to end up gaining 1 experience. We'll put them at 11 now, just so that I don't forget. let's go give them, let's also charge them their 1 faction credit for this, for the Space of Influence, and then go add it for them. So the Children of the Vein here are adding a base of influence that is going to have 1 HP, and it is located on planet AQ for Children of the Vein. And then they're going to take a activation of their strike fleet to move it from planet AQ back to Tellus, which is, I think, the first time we've seen one of these new rule changes that Tellus has had effect from the Ruin take place. So if you take a look here at the map, we can see that the 0904 system is not 2 hexes away from Tellus. It is in fact 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. However, the planet of Tellus does have a special ruin on it, which unfortunately does not show on the map, but I can pull up in this page. Yep. If we find the planet of Tellus right here and scroll right around, scroll right down, we see that there's a ruin has been explored, and so when this planet has a planetary governor, it becomes the legitimate target of any movement asset, regardless of hex range. Therefore, the strike fleet is able to jump back to Tellus without a problem from planet AQ. So we'll take this. It arrives on Tellus, still costs 1 faction credit to make this move, and Tellus does have a base of influence by the Tohora Fai, who have the pirate tag, faction tag, which would generally charge 1 faction credit on activation on arrival. However, the Children of the Vein have a bank, which neutralizes up to 1 faction credit expenditure that is forced by some interaction like this. So the bank neutralizes the pirate tax, and there's only the 1 faction credit cost of actually moving this asset, taking them down to a 36 there. They're then going to take an action to activate another special ability of Tellus here. It's one of the planetary mechanical tags, which says once per turn, the planetary governor can heal 1 HP on an asset as a free action. They've chosen to do that on the recently arrived strike fleet, so this gains 1 HP going up to 3. And then there's a reminder in here that they are seizing planet AQ, and so that progresses up to 2 out of 3 at this step. And then they are also taking part of their quest action to establish a missionary clinic on the planet of Icaros in the 1008 system right here, by that same bank we just talked about. They are allowed by the planetary governor controller of Ascent to make this roll, so that gives them a +2 towards the difficulty. They are also spending 2 faction credits to gain a +2 towards this roll. And then they are also going to take a d6 damage to the bank to also gain another +2 on this roll. So that gains a total modifiers of +6 and has a target difficulty of 8 on this roll. They have rolled a 4, giving them a total result of a 10, which is a success. So if we now need to roll a d6 damage for the bank asset, which unfortunately was the maximum result on a d6 of 6, so that'll take 6 damage to the bank and 2 faction credits charged. So that takes their balance down to 34. We'll take over here and take a look at the bank, which now only has 2 HP. However, they have established this ability on the planet of Icaros. I believe, yes, I just made it a note on the last planet that this happened to. So we will just do that again. Icaros is right here. And so it has a Children of the Vein missionary clinic because that's just a lore establishment. The next step on their faction quest then is to roll to advance their 66 count clock. The roll here is 2d6, re-rolling 1s because of their fanatical tag, and then it is -2 on the roll as well, just as the number of dice equals the number of clinics established minus the number of clinics. So that roll result was, ooh man, a good use of fanatical there, as both dice rolled a 1 on the first try, but then were then re-rolled into a 2 and a 4, resulting in a total progress of 4 towards the clock. So, that is not the best results, but it would have been worse had the Children of the Vein not been fanatical. And I believe that tracker is here, so that goes up to a total of 7. And let's go make some notes here. So this was a d10 plus 6, which was a result of 10 success. And then this result was 1, which became a 2, and 1, which became a 4, minus 2 equals 4, lock. Maybe I can type progress. That was the only other rolls needed on their turn. They expanded influence, and we've already given them their XP for that, so we can move right along and thank them for their turn by moving along to the Tahora Fayi. The Tahora are going to set their goal of Seas Planet, because they have a Seas finishing this turn, as well as start a new Seas, so that's quite convenient for them. So they're going to starting a Seas of the planet of AO with a strike fleet of it. The planet AO is right over here in this system, and they're going to be able to start that Seas unopposed. So, to make my tracking a little bit easier, we're going to say this. I feel like I may have missed progress here. I did. They should have been at 2 progress on their Seas planet for planet AN, so that was my bad. So this Seas completes. It goes to 3 out of 3, so it would normally go away, but I'm just going to do this, and it comes back to here, and we'll grant them their experience point, and go give them planetary government control of planet AN. Right here. For the Tahora Fayi. This planet has the mechanics tag of the controller of the planetary government, immediately gains +2 to their force asset cap and loses 1 from their another stat, either wealth or cunning, when this planet is seized. The Tahora Fayi have informed me they wish to decrease their wealth asset by 1. So that should be this variant, and that should fix the math automatically. It's in some hidden columns. I'll check it afterwards. But if the Tahora Fayi, they can now have up to 7 force assets and 2 wealth assets before they would incur additional cost for owning more than can normally be supported. They are then going to... Oh, as part of the Seas of Planet AO that has started, they are going to take advantage that the Seas action is an attack action and make an attack on the planet of Telos against, with this blockade fleet against the Concord of Mutual Disdain. There is no valid attack target for this, as there's no Concord of Mutual Disdain asset on planet, which is unstealth, so the attack fizzles into thin air. We're then going to roll a ruin exploration for them on planet AN, and so if we take a look at planetary ruins, they're going to be rolling a d10 plus a faction credit cost. They have chosen not to spend any faction credits, so this is just a flat d10, which is a 3, but I believe that is unfortunately a failure, so that is no gain to the ruin clock. So we'll note that this was a result 3 failure. They'll still get some lore from me because it's fun that way. And so that will be that. Then they're going to be renaming the planet AN and the system it is within. So planet AN is going to now become known as Lagan, Langan, I believe is the correct pronunciation there. They're happy to correct me. And I'm not even going to attempt to correctly pronounce the system name, which is now Kufu? Kuafu? I'm going to go with Kuafu. Should have looked this up before stream. But that's the new system name. Now, there are two other systems here, or two other planets in the system, so those also take, of course, the new system name, as should be correct, but these planets are not renamed yet, as nobody owns the planet to make that assertion. I'm going to have some things to fix on this, but I'm going to do so at the end because there's another planet name change coming later on. I already gave the Tohorawai their 1 experience point from the seas when I completed it and marked it off here earlier, so we thank them very much for their turn, and we move right on along to the Starlet Court. Starlet Court is going back to the exploration that Ascent started this turn for us after they gain their 4 faction credits. They have a strike fleet in the 1701 system, which is way up over here. That is going to take the exploration goal for the Starlet Court in this thing. It is a force asset, so that is a +4. That is a 4 for their bonus on this difficulty DC 10 roll. So D10 plus 4, that is another 10 on the die for a 14 with a resounding success. Let's go make a result of that real quick. And then, so that is result D10 plus 4 equals 14. Success. Let's find out how many planets have been revealed by rolling a D6. 2 is just 1 planet. And I'll read out the results of this planet as I transfer it into the system table here for the planet map in the 1701 system. That's right here. This is planet BB, not BB-8. That would be problematic. But it has the mechanics tag of the controller gains +2 to wealth assets and loses 1 from another's cap. We just saw that working on the force assets from the planet Lagan. It has only an outposts level of population that is currently living at TL3 in an invasive atmosphere that has a warm temperature planet and a hybrid biosphere with the faction tags of terraforming failure and Pharaoh world. Quite unfortunate planet tags. The ruin result for this planet was only an 8, so that was not, unfortunately, successful at revealing a new ruin. There is a little bit more to the turn here, where we're going to be moving that same strike fleet that just explored to the Hex 1700 for 1 faction credit plus the faction credit POI tax, and then a smuggler's movement from the 1101 point of interest to 1302. So 1101 right here is then moving into 1302, which is just a spot in space. Let me go make that hex on the planet map so that the map doesn't break when I try to make this movement, hopefully. 1302, yeah. And that movement just cost 1, so in total the Starlet Court have spent 3 faction credits. I don't think I gave them their income, because I don't think they were at 0 beforehand, so they should be at 8. It goes down to 5. And let's go move those assets for them now. So they had a strike fleet that is on, or sorry, excuse me, they had the smugglers in 1101 that is moving to the 1302 system, and they had a strike fleet in the 1701 system that is moving to the 1700 system. And that takes care of their turn. They gain 2 experience, bringing them up to 8 for completing their exploration, and we move swiftly along to the Amelhart Institute, who come in 8th this faction turn as far as turn order goes, they're going to be spending 6 experience points to level up their force to 4, but they'll also be taking the Seize Planet goal and collecting 5 income. So let's go level up their force first off. So Amelhart Institute, that costs them 6 experience, which brings them down to 7, and their force becomes a 4. Unfortunately, that does not change their income, but their HP has gone up, but we will give them their income to bring them up to 43 faction credits. They are then going to be purchasing an Informer's asset on the world of Longza, and that Informer's asset comes in, oops, wrong table, at a cost of 2 faction credits. I was requested to go ahead and use their commodities broker discount, so this will cost them 1 credit to locate on the planet of Longza. So we'll come up to here, find the Amelhart Institute's assets, place it there. They have purchased Informers, and let's drag all of this down, and it has taken place on Longza, which is their homeworld, so there's no concerns with... Oh, sorry, Longza is not their homeworld. I needed to check if somebody else should have said no, but no, they don't, because they own that planet, so that is free for them to make a purchase without any concerns. Mild panic that I had forgotten the buy asset check again, even though I very explicitly remembered checking. That would have been embarrassing. The second part of their turn is going to be moving a smuggler's asset that is currently located on the planet of Longza into the 1613 system, which currently has which is just space, but as a spaceship asset or starship asset, it's able to do so just fine. I need to check if there's somebody in the 1016 section. There is not, so I can safely rename this location into the 0613 hex without any concerns before moving the Amelhart Institute's smuggler asset off of Longza and into that hex. That does cost them 1 faction credit, and I need to charge them 1 faction credit for the Informers, bringing them down to 1. That also uses up their discounts that are available on all of their commodities brokers. We return and see that they have completed a seize this turn of the planet of AK. They did not provide a new name for me yet, but they are welcome to do so whenever they would like. That brings their experience points up to 8, and we get to come rename the planet AK. Or sorry, not rename it, assign the planetary governor, excuse me. There was just chimes. Thank you, Apape, or as members may know, Owly, for the Twitch Prime sub. You now have access to, I think, 1 emote, the Unrest lore, if I remembered correctly what's in that spot. I may be incorrect there, but you have access to some emote, which is pretty cool. Great. Amelhart Institute's turn, therefore, is now complete. The seize is finished. They've been granted their experience points, and we get to move right along to the final faction of our turn. But there's still quite a lot of stuff to discuss after this, so they are certainly not least with the Aguamala Syndicate here. Expanding influence onto the planet F. So let's go grant the Aguamala Syndicate their income, bringing them up to 34 faction credits. They're going to be building a 1 HP base of influence that will take them down to 33. They're then going to be moving 2 different strike fleets, which will cost them 2 additional credits, so that will take them down to 31. I'm just going to make all of those charges now so that we don't have to worry about it in the future. If we take a look here, I need to actually find planet F. So if we take a look at planet F, right here, we can see the Aguamala is the only asset on this planet in the 1207, so they're able to make this expansion, whoops, without any concerns. And so if we just add a new row for them, we can add in a base of influence at 1 HP for them on the planet F. And this just needs to be filled in, and everything should autofill. Perfect. They're then going to be moving their strike fleet. Yeah, that's right, because I hit the wrong button. I broke the map. They're going to be moving the strike fleet from 1307 Quetzalcoatl, the La Lanza, onto planet C in the 1407 system, and the Lapides Pagu, which is currently on planet F, is moving to planet P in the 1406 system. Both of those movements are perfectly fine. And that is probably to help them towards the establishment of a constellation. So this is the Aguamala Syndicates constellation, which has the 1206 system, the 1207 system, the 1208 system, the 1209, system, the 1307 system, the 1406 system, and the 1407 system as hexes that have planets in them. To fill out the space they're allowed, they're also taking 1107, 1108, 1305, 1306, 1308, and 1408. Giving them a total bonus of +5 on the revised charts action should they choose to take advantage of that, which is very exciting for them. And then they are renaming some planets. From previous completed Caesars, they took control of planet K right here, as we can see. And so they have decided to rename the planet K to Calypso. And the sector name has been renamed to Cuarento y Cinco, which is ironically very fitting given its name in the Roman numerals there. There were 2 planets in the system, so both of them have been had their system names renamed. Then finally, the Aguamala Syndicate do regain 1 experience for completing their Expand Influence, and their Seize of Planet F progresses up to 2 out of 3. So, I'm going to fix the asset tracker real quick, as this is now relocated on Calypso, as that was previously Planet K. The 1216 point of influence no longer exists, as it is now planet BA. The planet AN was renamed to Lagan, and planet AO is still planet AO, but it is now located in the new system of Huafu. So that I think should fix the map. Let's find. It may take a few seconds or a few minutes for the updated publication of the spreadsheets. Oh, look at that. The map works again, and assets should be in. There's a mistake. Why are there so many 2 planet BBs in 203? I will figure it out after the stream. There is a small mistake, but we'll figure that out shortly after the stream. I won't spend time debugging that live. So, continuing on to the next set of updates I've got to give, we're going to move on to the planet of Tellus. As the auto tick on the clock has restored, we can see that the clock reprogresses up to the value of 8 that it was at the same turn the comet hit. And so this changes, gives a reward where the planet of Telos now generates 2 faction credits per turn for the planetary governor controller. I think it's going to require me to fix the Children of the Veins counting, which I will do so in between stream. This value should be 8. As you can see, it is now 6 because of that change. It will be fixed here after the stream. The next announcement regarding the TTGI proposal for the new month, which comes from the chair, the Tahora Faye, they have decided to repropose the Resource Allegation 3, which has the options of reducing the distance reducing the distance by 1 hex when calculating exploration difficulty, but the auto-explore damage increases from 4 to 6. Or there is the option to progress the Telos terraforming clock by 1. That'll be pasted into the text slightly afterwards into the faction turn with planning announcements along with all of the updates that go there. The next big announcement for this end of turn section is there's a new faction quest being established for the Aguamala Syndicate, and it has some interesting rule setup that is going to require some spreadsheet changes that we're going to do right now, as none of the interactions can take place until next turn. Their faction quest is called the White Whale Hunt, which adds a new White Whale faction that has the value of 4 for all of its stats. So we're going to add that in, the White Whale. It's got a value of 4 for all of these. It has effectively no other stats on the faction level. It just has those 3 stats as they are needed for the attack values. It has no specific homeworld. It can own no assets. It has no faction HP. The faction HP could just be equal to the singular asset HP that represents it, which is a White Whale asset. The White Whale asset is an asset with 20 HP. It has no cost or no effective type, no effective value. We're actually going to be adding it into the asset tables list. I'm going to add it in with the same place where there's like other specialty cunning assets, even though it's probably really a specialty force asset. But the section already exists here. So we're going to add the White Whale. Yeah, please don't tell me that. It has 20 HP at maximum. As stated, it is NA on cost. It is NA on tech level. It is a spaceship asset type, so it's able to exist in empty hexes. It has an attack of... this is one spot I didn't make a note of. It has an attack of stat v stat, which does 2d4 damage, and a counter of 1d6. Given I want this to be a force asset, it might make sense to say this is force v force. That this will be clarified within the next before turn lock, or before faction swaps. I have noticed that I am missing that detail in my notes, so I'll need to confirm with the Aguamala Syndicate to make sure they're fine with that selection. And then it has a specific asset details that relate to it as well. So let's add the White Whale. The White Whale has the text: as an action, the White Whale can move itself up to 2 hexes, gain the stealth property, or heal 1d3 minus 1 HP. Any faction other than the Aguamala Syndicate has disadvantage when attacking the White Whale. I'm going to call it force. And then the White Whale asset gets placed on the map within 3 hexes of a planet that is chosen randomly, which the Aguamala Syndicate is the planetary governor of. So if we come take a look, the map may be one of the quickest ways to do this. So, we can see that the Aguamala Syndicate is the controller of Nueva Cuauhtémoc. Gome, Quetzalcoatl, and Calypso, the new planet they have finished seizing. So there are 4 potential locations. So I'm going to roll a 1d4 to choose a planet. That is planet 3. I'm counting from the top. 1, 2, 3. So within the planet of Gome. I'm going to roll a d6 to pick a direction away on the hex boundaries. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Going clockwise, starting going north. A d6 results in a 4, so that is towards the 1108 section on the diagonal. And I'm going to roll a d3 to figure out... I'm going to roll a d4 minus 1 to figure out if it is 0, 1, 2, or 3 hexes away from the planet of Gome. Unfortunate, that one's a 4, so it is 3 hexes away in the... Okay, that's comical. Couldn't have planned that better. It spawns around Tellus. I'm glad to know that I rolled that all randomly just to place it in the center of the system. All those dice rolls were fair. I will accept no other explanation as to why the white whale asset is as it is. Yes, I'll have to fix the autofill, I'm sure, as you can see here. It's not quite liking it because I'll need to fix some things, but I'll do that afterwards. I'll just fill it in. Fill it in myself real quick as force v force 2d4. It has a 1d6 counter, and it is located in Tellus. That's quite comical. Oh, did we have an ad? What did get lost? Did I miss that there was an ad that appeared? Apparently I did. Somebody catch me up on what I missed in the Twitch ad, and I will... Oh, the whole explanation of the whale? Great. Okay, I'll start all over on that. So it's a white whale faction, has a value of 4 for all stats, 20 HP, no cost, no tech level, spaceship, 2d4 attack, 1d6 counter. I need to double check with Aguamala Syndicate if it's force v force, or if I want it to be like stat v stat, and it gets picked with whichever is the best attack type, whichever's like the worst defending stat for the faction that is attacking it, that it's attacking. And the white whale can move itself up to 2 hexes, gain the stealth property, or heal 1d3 minus 1 HP. Any faction other than Aguamala Syndicate has disadvantage when attacking it. Also, I think you're right. 4 should be straight down based off of that description I gave, shouldn't it? I think I screwed that up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, it should. So 12, 11 is where it actually should spawn, not tell us. That's actually much happier from my perspective. I'd prefer it to not be on Tellus. I actually want to make that one above. So that's the 1201. Sorry, 1211. Good catch. Thank you for that. Let's go move it off of Tellus into the 1211 system, which, yeah, is not going to show up. I'll fix that as well. Okay. Luckily, the VOD on YouTube won't have that issue because there was no ad that interrupted us. Very rude of Twitch. Okay. There are a few other notes for the white whale to take place. The white whale faction itself follows a predetermined algorithm for choosing its turns that always take place at the end of the faction turn or in Initiative Section 10. If it was undisturbed for the current turn, it remains in the same hex it is in, taking either the gain stealth action or the heal action chosen at random, where it'll just roll a d10, and even as it takes a heal, and odd is it regains stealth if it does not have it. If it was attacked this turn, it either moves 2 hexes in a random direction or fights back. This is determined by rolling a d20, and if the value on the d20 is below its current HP, it fights back, otherwise it flees. And then if the White Whale asset is killed by a faction other than the Aguamala Syndicate, on the next White Whale turn, the whale respawns according to its original placement rules, with its max health reduced by 8 down to a limit of 4 HP. And then as stated, the White Whale always takes its turn at the end of the faction turn. And the Aguamala Syndicate gain a free action as part of this quest called Reveal the Whale. This roll is an opposed Cunning roll with a whale to reveal, to de-stealth the whale. It's as part of Aguamala's hunting conditions, they're able to de-stealth this quarry of theirs without needing any specific asset or an asset that would generally have this ability. They're just able to do so by default. And the White Whale does start stealthed. So that is their quest. All these quests, their text will be available in the announcements for the faction turn after the stream ends here. That way it can be made available to anyone to double check these rules as needed. And then I have some rules updates to announce, which I'm actually going to stop sharing the Chrome window, and I made some fancy graphics to talk about these. So there was some discussion in Met Council recently that several people participated in, and thank you for everybody who participated, provided feedback to me, provided feedback and a discussion in that channel. There have been some updates that I've decided on for Tier 7 assets. It's time to it was reasonably close to where factions could be achieving Tier 7 as a faction stat in either Force, Cunning, or Wealth, so it made sense to make sure we address these assets changes beforehand, since we didn't do them before the start of the game because no faction was starting this high. So I'm going to go over the changes to Cunning assets first. Here's a nice little chart. This will be posted in the chat again afterwards, and I will be updating the spreadsheet after the stream. I'm not going to make these changes live. So in Cunning, the changes on this chart are in bold, or place sections that have changed are in bold. So the Popular Movements ability has changed. It is now the government always enables asset purchases made by this faction. Additionally, this faction can stop other factions from building on this planet if they don't have a popular movement or the planetary government. Essentially an additional person who can say no, but you're not able to say no to somebody else who either has the popular movement or planetary government. It's still a niche ability, but the previous popular movement ability of always saying yes to force movements was also niche, so it just sort of adapts it for the change we made in that to that rule, since we got rid of the force sort of movement permissions. There are no changes made to the Book of Secrets, and the treachery updates ability text has changed. The treachery asset now does, on a successful attack, the treachery asset is lost. The targeted asset switches sides to join the traitor's faction, even the faction does not otherwise have the attributes necessary to purchase it. It no longer gives the 5 faction credit refund. So these are the changes to Cunning assets. Next up is the changes to Force assets. So starting at the top, we have Deep Strike Landers. They are gaining a counterattack of 1d6 plus 1 damage. And the ability text has changed to say, as an action, any number of assets, including itself, can be moved between any 2 worlds within 3 hexes of the Deep Strike Landers. This activation can occur multiple times per turn. On a use asset ability turn, that's the good clarification there. The Integral Protocols ability has also been updated. It now says, when defending against Cunning attacks, the defender gains advantage. This asset is not targetable by the Treachery attack action. That opens up the Integral Protocols to defend against all attacks, because really any of the assets that specified a very limited thing they could defend against doesn't quite mesh with the defensive rules and attack settings, so this makes more sense to say it can defend against anything and just gains advantage against Cunning attacks. Or on Cunning defense, excuse me. And then the Final changes in the Force section here are to the Space Marines. Their health points have gone up to 22, the cost has decreased to 25, and the ability text now reads, as a free action, move up to 1 hex for 1 faction credit, and as an action, on a use asset ability turn, move up to 2 hexes. One small note that's related to Force changes that I don't have a nice graphic for is with the update to Deep Strike Landers now being free, but just taking the activation on a use activation or use asset actions cost, the Beachhead Landers asset is getting its asset text changed to match that paradigm, where if it is an activation on a use asset ability turn, the movement is free. The exact text of that change will be available in the Faction Turn channel, the updates afterwards, but I did just want to mention that one on stream. The change there, even though that's a Tier 4 Force asset, is just the rules are better aligned for movement across the entire set. That way I can both administrate it easier, and it'll be easier for factions to remember as they're potentially using these assets, that those all work the same way. And then finally, there are changes to wealth assets. The pre-tech manufactory is left unchanged. The hostile takeovers counter defense dice have been reduced to 2d6, and the transit web has had its HP reduced to 4, and its cost has gone up to 20. So wealth received only some minimal updates, but their others had some pretty decent changes. So again, these will be updated in the spreadsheet slightly after the stream. It may be within the next 24 hours, so my promise will be the spreadsheet is up to date with these rule changes before faction switches go into effect on, what would that be, the 9th of November at midnight Eastern, or 11:59 p.m. on the 8th of November. Updates will be in the spreadsheet by then. It may take me a little bit longer than I'd like to get these changes in. So that takes care of those changes. As I said, these graphics will be available to review afterwards as well, so everyone can see the changes. And then that basically wraps up everything I needed to announce faction turn wise. So yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for sending in their turn actions and participating. It's been quite a lot of fun. Thanks to all the faction reps, to the hard work they put in for sending in the turns every month. And I hope everyone's really enjoying the game. It's great to see the Tellus event sort of finally making its way towards the conclusion of completing its clock, and we'll get to see what the final results of the Tellus's system and TTGI event coming towards its working conclusion, as well as the additional ruins that have been found elsewhere in the sector. So you can join us again next week for a Free Agents episode. I don't actually know which one's premiering. It's quite a ways behind the sessions we're creating now, and if you don't know what I'm talking about for Free Agents is the Cypher System West Marches RPG game that is run by my one of the other fellow moderators, Calixus, or Pius Calixus, as you may know him, or Turbo, on the Discord, and he has been running the games in the Cypher system. They've been quite a lot of fun. We've had tons of people interested in participating in them. Here's the Free Agents logo. There we go. The current sessions that are being played, you're welcome to join if you're interested in it and you don't have permissions to see the category. Just ping myself for him, and we'll get you the Free Agents tag so you're able to join in and take a listen and play in a game. We'd love to have you. Our current arc is taking care of the Golden Stag Revolutionary Front and their declared war against the Penumbra Network, which is this thing that is sort of in a gray area and doesn't have much legal representation. So is it really a war? Not really, but Hey, that's what the PR team says. It's been on the news if you've seen BBTV. Um, but yeah, they've been quite a lot of fun, and I think our session this next week is probably starting off close to starting off the AutomaCon event in Gome and the 3 or 4 sessions that took place there, which is sort of the kickoff to the current arc that's being played. Um, so we're a little further behind in these premieres than we are in the live sessions, but such is the way of post production and scheduling all of those things out. So if you're interested in joining in, we'd love to have you play in a game. The week after that, on the 20th of November, is going to be the lore stream for lore stream 15th, number 15. That'll take place at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the faction turn 15 will be slightly longer away this month, taking place on December 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's both to adapt to the fact that I'm out of town on the December 4th, so I would be unable to stream, as well as that actually slightly works out better given the Christmas and other holidays that occur during December and gives a slightly longer break after Thanksgiving and all of that. So faction reps, you'll get a more detailed schedule from me, of course, with all the deadline locks very shortly. But that's the broad overview plan for the upcoming streams. And then I know we're a little early since these things happen once a month, but I'd feel like I should go ahead and mention it, that the lore stream 16 and faction turn 16, as well as potentially 17, may be slightly impacted by me relocating. I'm at this moment still expecting to be able to stream, even if they're slightly scuffed streams out of a hotel or not as great Wi-Fi. But I'm still expecting to be able to put on a stream. If that becomes a problem, there's a potential that I may see if one of the other mods is able to take care of the actual streaming portion for those streams. But at this moment, I'm not foreseeing any impacts from me moving. But I just thought I would let everyone know that as we get into turns 16 and 17, that they may be slightly wonky time-wise, streaming time-wise, because of me moving. So it seemed like a good thing to let everyone know when you go like, why is the schedule really wonky? That's why. So thought I'd just let everyone know in advance. But yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in, and I think I'll just leave you with some chill tunes for the next couple of minutes here as we wrap up Faction Turn 14 with Unrestricted Lorefare's Beacon Space setting. It's been quite a lot of fun. I always enjoy putting these on every month, and I hope you've enjoyed the stream, and thank you all very much for listening.